Hello and welcome to this week's SportsChat podcast. Joining me around the table is news editor Michael Upton.
Morning.
Columnist Charlie Graves.
Very good morning.
And Miller's correspondent David Beddows.
Hello.
Gentlemen, we sit around this table talking about another defeat for Rotherham United. 4-2 sounds pretty harsh, Dave, by the scoreline. What was the actual storyline of the game?
Well, again, the Millers were competitive, but they ran into a team that had got more quality. As I suspected, Rangers, in the sort of 20 minutes, 25 minutes, they had a hot spell. I suspected they may score goals, and they did. The players like Charlie Austin, real quality there that sets them apart at the moment, and in the end, it held sway.
Michael, just looking at a few of the stats, possession was near enough bang on equal for both teams. Does this highlight how the teams at the top end have that extra quality on the ball, whereas the teams struggling down at the other end maybe don't do quite as much with it?
Well, it's strange really, because QPR have only become a team at the top end, as you put it, in the last week. They had a pretty soggy start to the season.
But they've got higher quality players, surely.
And they've only just come into form, so, it's an age-old thing, isn't it? You've got to take your chances when they come, and you've got to learn to defend better than Rotherham did on Saturday.
Charlie, what do you think about that possession stat then? What's your views on Rotherham having so much of the ball?
Well, I think it's all rubbish. It doesn't care how much of the ball you've got. If you don't do anything with it, then you'll struggle. The fact is that you reap what you sow. We've not spent in close season where we should be, because, people are outgunning us. It's not just talking about statistics and possession and, we've had 93 shots or whatever. The fact is, we're not good enough, and I think we're going to struggle for the rest of the season.
We're not good enough.
Dave, just to talk about the game as a whole then, the third goal for Queen's Park Rangers, a little bit of a clanger from Kel Roos.
He did okay, over the piece, but, this is another error. And, you've got so many games of tight margins, nothing. He should have thrown his cap on that shot, to be fair. So, the manager, obviously has got a decision to make now for tomorrow night.
Well, is this Adam Collins' chance? Is this a good excuse to change the goalkeeper?
Well, I don't think it's excuses. It's looking at it, commonsensically. He's tried to stick by this lad because he's young, and he wants to give him a good run. But there may come a time when you've sort of got to, rest him, take him out the firing line a bit, and see if he can come back stronger.
And if that happens, Michael, that'll be a chance for Adam Collins to stake his claim, surely.
Yeah, well, I said on the opening day that people said that Colin made too many mistakes, and you've got to be careful what you wish for. I don't think you can afford to be sentimental. I think, frankly, he should have been dropped after that disaster against MK. He was terrible on the first day. He should have brought Colin in for the cup game, just to show him it was part of his plans, if nothing else. And then Saturday's another example. There were two crucial incidents, the QPR third and fourth goals. If Roos hadn't made a disaster on that third one, we wouldn't be talking about or even thinking about that penalty incident.
Fair point. Charlie, Rotherham were 3-0 down at one point and got it back to 3-2 before QPR got that penalty that Michael was talking about and made it 4-2. That's a sign of the old fighting spirit of Steve Evans' teams coming back, maybe?
Yeah, it's great talking about fighting spirit, but I'm afraid at this level it's not good enough, is it? You can have as much spirit as you want, which may be good 1 week or for 2 weeks, but you can't do it for the whole season. You've got to have skill. And we don't have the level of performers that other teams have got. You've got to spend even at this level in the hope of staying up. If you don't spend, then you're going to struggle.
In this instance as well, on Saturday, they were 3-0 down. There's nothing to say that QPR didn't take their foot off the gas a bit and let Rotherham back in.
Well, that's perfectly well saying that, but Rotherham have still got to get themselves back on the front foot and back into the ascendancy in ultimately lost cause, Dave, when they're 3-0 down.
It was, it's fair, the QPR goals, the own play goals were good. They were a step apart, the way they broke. They were thinking ahead, they were thinking quicker than Rotherham, and that's what you get with better players. They're quicker in thought, they just think quicker. The Millers had two good chances, two of the best chances before it sort of opened up the game, so the chances were, and they were created in which they haven't done of late, but there's a lot of improvement.
Just a quick word on the team selection then before we move on to tomorrow night's game against Norwich at home. Fans have been screaming at Steve Evans for Johnson, Clark, Harris, Grant Ward and Emmanuel Ledesma to come into the starting lineup, and I think not many people would have expected him to do that away at Queen's Park Rangers, but he did. Does Steve deserve hats off for that? Has he done what he should have done maybe sooner, or do you think it was a little bit naive to do that at QPR?
I know it's about standing up with men, isn't it? I think Grant Ward, he's still adjusting to the Championship. He looked good pre-season, now it's the real stuff, and he's struggling a bit. Ledesma, you know, he was sidelined. He was a spectator really. He struggled, and Johnson Clark Harris, I think, took his chance well. Good goal, could have had another.
But surely, Charlie, fans can't complain anymore. I mean, they've got the team selection near enough that they wanted.
No, I think they can complain. I mean, you could put a blindfold on and pick the names out of a hat at the moment. The fact is that we're not good enough. So, irrespective of who you play, I don't think it's going to make a great deal of difference. And as I say, I think we're going to struggle for the rest of the season.
Clark Harris is an interesting one though, because he's never really had a run, and he missed an absolute howler in midweek and then scored an absolute screamer on Saturday. I mean, will the real Johnson Clark Harris be stand up, and will he be allowed to get the chance to do so?
Well, I think by looking at it now, I think he's forced himself at least into the reckoning, hasn't he? I mean, it can't be ignored now, as he was seeming to be in the opening weeks of the season. I think he now has to be in and around that team.
Charlie's talking about spending money. Clearly the money either isn't there or it's not going to be spent. If we've got this guy who was a signing that cost a bit of bob last year, give him a run, see what he can do. That's the least they can do.
Well,
Fair point.
He deserves to stay in. I think as Steve said afterwards, there's a good player. It's getting it out of him. And when he's like that, he's an handful.
Right, gentlemen, well, let's have a quick look then towards tomorrow's second round cup game. Rotherham United entertaining Norwich City at the New York Stadium. We're going to do predictions. Michael, if could have yours first.
Well, I don't think you can see anything other than Norwich winning, even if they change a couple of players. I don't know, 2-0 will probably do them, and I'll sit on that.
Charlie?
Well, as I say, yeah, I think you can't see anything except a Norwich win. I think if they get a goal early on, it could be 3 or 4. So, struggle again.
And Dave, obviously the important stuff starts again next Saturday against Fulham, but a chance for Rotherham to maybe get some confidence in their legs.
It's important. I mean, we're still on in August, aren't we? But this is an important little time with this cup tie and the game at Fulham on Saturday, because then there's a break for the international break. Rotherham don't want to be stewing on an awful start. So, you know, if they can pick up a decent result either tomorrow or Saturday, it'll stand them in good stead. Tomorrow, you know, it's back against the wall time, isn't it? Norwich will make changes, so maybe, you know, Rotherham might take him to the wire.
I need something more definite.
I'll nick it. Alright then, 2-1.
Right, gentlemen, thank you very much for your time today. You've been listening to the Sports Chat podcast, free in the match, Monday lunchtime magazine, with all the analysis, stats and video interviews from Rotherham United's weekend game. Thank you for listening.